Good evening, everyone. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act and is open to the media and public. Notices were duly posted and the meeting was advertised in the Hunterdon County Democrat Courier News. Formal action may be taken. Can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Betterman. Ms. Fjord?
Here.
Mr. Beach? Here. Ms. Bogorski? Mr. Wallace? Ms. Wolf?
Here.
Mr. Zerling? Here. Dr. Cerciello?
Here.
Ms. Hamel?
Here. Can we please rise for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Hart, I'd like to turn it over to you for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mrs. Hamel. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
No.
Good evening.
Yes.
You know you can't see when you can't see the on and off button. Welcome to our May 10th Board of Education meeting, where we'll honor the extraordinary efforts of our governors, teachers of the year, and we will bid farewell to our retirees. This evening is a special occasion for the accomplishments of our staff. Particularly during these unusual years, it's even more important to highlight the efforts of all of those who work in the Redington schools and make our schools so spectacular. It's my pleasure to kick off tonight's program by honoring our retiring middle school principal. Sharon Moffitt and I have had the privilege to work together over the past 4 years here at Redington. In that time, I've learned much about her family, her interests, and we truthfully have shared many laughs together, even today, right, Sharon? For instance, Sharon is one of the only people I know who can eat a slice of pizza while driving her car. I learned of this talent in one of my first meetings with Sharon at a very late meeting that we had together, but she has many others. Sharon joined the Redington Township Schools as the middle school principal in 2010. Before teacher, a STEM supervisor, and assistant principal in Robbinsville with a career that spans more than 30 years in education. But Sharon is more than an educator. She is a wife, a mother, a daughter, and a soon-to-be grandmother. Given all of the hats that she wears both at work and at home, Sharon has so much to be proud of. The middle school has grown tremendously under Sharon's leadership over the past 10 years. And I'd like to take a look back at all that she's accomplished here in Redington. Now, I've found a laundry list of things that Sharon's accomplished or that she's done over the past 10 years, but I'd like to highlight a few. Sharon piloted and expanded a Bring Your Own Device program, which is now a one-to-one Chromebook initiative at our middle school. She introduced a Teacher of the Month program to recognize outstanding teachers and even has developed a valuable liking award. She developed a student advisory committee for student feedback. She hosted principal chats for parent engagement. She focused extraordinary efforts on mental health and student wellness, encouraging mindfulness at RMS and enhancing the soft fitness room. She incorporated SEL into daily classroom instruction and led this initiative supported by the CAP program. She welcomed Hunterdon Behavioral Health this year into the building to support student mental health. She enhanced green initiatives at RMS. This accomplishment culminated in earning the Green Ribbon Award, and the middle school has previously been recognized multiple times for the Sustainable Jersey Award. She personally and individually mentored students who required additional supports. She reviewed grading and discipline procedures with committees to improve those areas, and she's presented at both national and regional conferences conveying her expertise and love for middle school education to her colleagues. Sharon is an exemplary educator. She is the model of what a building principal ought to aspire to be. She holds high expectations and she does this with kindness. Her smile, her positivity, and her compassion will be missed as she leaves Reddington for her new life in Ocean City, Maryland. Sharon, please know how much you have made a positive impact on our school district, and your influence will be felt for years to come. I wish you, your husband Kevin, and your children, and your soon-to-be grandchild all the best in your retirement. I'm sure you'll be passing through the area on your visits to your new grandbaby, and when you do, remember us and be sure to stop by and say hi. We would love to see you. Congratulations, Sharon. At this time, I welcome Mrs. Sharon Muffin to the podium to introduce the retirees and honorees from Reddington Middle School. Sharon, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Hart, for those kind words. I just want to take a minute and thank the Board of Education and the Reddington community. This really is a special place here in Reddington. I'm grateful to be ending my 33-year career here. A big thank you to my staff. I am really fortunate to work with such amazing educators every day. They do the impossible, and you are truly remarkable. I always say our students are amazing here at RMS, and I really mean it. They really want to make a positive difference in the world, and they're going to do it. I want to recognize Dr. Jonathan Moss, my assistant principal, who's one of the best administrators I've ever had the privilege of working with. He makes smart, thoughtful decisions. He's professional, and he always does what's best for Reddington students. A big shout out to my wonderful husband, Kevin, who drove here from Ocean City, Maryland today, which is where we're moving to. To my beautiful daughter, Allison, who really is expecting our first grandbaby anytime now. And to my amazing son, Kevin, who's now 5 years cancer-free. He is our warrior and our hero. I'm so grateful for their support and for the support of all of you through these 10 years. I will truly miss Reddington, and I want to thank you. Okay, now on to the rest of the program. I'm very pleased to recognize Mrs. Lillian Drew as Reddington Middle School's Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Drew is an exceptional educator because she makes connections with her students. Mandarin is not an easy language, but she uses so many different strategies to help her students be successful. Mrs. Drew consistently looks for ways to improve her teaching, and her students look forward to her class every day. Mrs. Drew is kind, compassionate, and a team player. Her passion for education is evident. This is a very deserving honor. As a school, I know we're proud to call her one of our own. Congratulations, Mrs. Drew, on this wonderful accomplishment. And now for our retirees. Doug Ayers, he is one of a kind. He's been a math teacher at RMS for 18 years and has been a teacher for 20 years total. He teaches Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, and he has come a long way with his technology skills. When I asked him about his favorite memory, he said it was seeing the students rise to a new level of math proficiency when presented with the challenge of Algebra 2, which really is, of course, 3 years above their age group. He'll miss the camaraderie with his colleagues and the interaction with students. During his retirement, he will continue to write and record his music, tutor, and get back into calculus and other higher level math. Doug, you'll be missing our mess and wish you all the best. Judy Doslick, she spent 34 years of her 39 years in education at Reddington Middle School. She serves as our math intervention teacher, and in 2003, she was the governor's educator of the year. She also previously served as a team leader and helped to coordinate the Camp Bernie trips. When asked what she'll miss, she said she'll miss interacting with students, learning from them, helping them understand the math content, and seeing the connections they made. She'll also miss her RMS family. When she retires, she plans to go to Arizona to see her mother and father, after waiting 3 years because of COVID. And she's also planning an Alaskan cruise. Sounds lovely. Judy, we wish you all the best. Cheryl's here, Cheryl O'Brien. She's been with us for 9 out of her 13 years in education. She's an amazing 7th grade language arts teacher, and she's kept us entertained for years. When I asked her to share her favorite memories, she had many, and so many I could not use. She remembers the dance party she had in a room before winter and spring break. Once, we had so many students lined up in the hallway, they did a conga line and Cotton Eye Joe. Another memory from her was doing the naming ceremony when they did the book, The Giver. I was there for those, and they were really special. Cheryl's going to miss her colleagues, especially the younger ones who helped her with technology. This was never one of her strong suits, but she was always persistent. When she retires, Cheryl plans on becoming a pickleball pro, and she wants to go on the double circuit with Terry Miller. She also plans on traveling with her husband on a business trip, whether he likes it or not. Cheryl and Deb had the chance to work together and are going out together. I couldn't imagine being in our mess without you. Best of luck. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Bruce Wild. Bruce actually began his educational career in the early 90s, when he began teaching in a variety of special needs private schools and psychiatric care facilities. In September of '96, he came to Reddington as a 3rd grade teacher at Three Bridges. Once Hollandbrook School was built, he taught there until he came to Reddington Middle School in 2006. Wow, what a career. His favorite memories are the notes he's received from his former staff or former students, whether they were emails or written notes. These personal thank yous about his teaching style and individual attention the students received from him mean everything. When asked what he'll miss the most, he said it would be the learning environment and culture of classrooms. His quote, which I love, creating, nurturing, and supporting lifelong learners has always been a passion of mine. Upon retirement, he plans to spend quality time with his wife Rachel, their combined children, and his network of friends all over the country. He's also interested in volunteering his personal skills where they're needed and exploring new interests. Bruce, thank you so much for your many years of service at Reddington. You'll be missed and wish you the best of luck. Bruce Wild. Paul Nigo, who's the principal of Hollandbrook.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Board of Education. It's my pleasure to talk about a few people I've been working with for a bunch of years now. We're going to start off with Trish Newton. Trish, congratulations on being the recipient of the Teacher of the Year Award this year. I've had the privilege of knowing you for the past 11 years, and I've been very impressed with your growth as an educator and the leadership roles that you have undertaken. As a 4th grade team leader, you have shown organizational abilities when running CBT meetings, organizing field trips, and processing supply orders. These may seem like mundane tasks, but trust me, doing them correctly is essential. And Trish, you are a detail-oriented person, something the school office greatly appreciates. In the classroom, Trish is a nurturing presence who focuses on her students' education and well-being. She goes above and beyond for her students. If you don't believe me, trust the words of a previous parent who wrote me, Mrs. Noonan went above and beyond. Trish, congratulations on this well-deserved honor. Congratulations to Beth Lincoln for receiving the Educational Services Professional of the Year Award. I always enjoy observing Beth work with our students. When they speak, she stares at their mouth very, very carefully. She sees and hears things that I just don't. She then has them do all sorts of fun exercises, routines, mouth calisthenics. I'm not really sure what she calls it, but the results are clear. It works, and her students benefit from her expertise. I love working with Beth every day, who I affectionately refer to as Miami Woogie. She is totally dedicated to her students and their growth. Miami, congratulations. Retirement is something that everybody thinks about in the abstract. The idea of living a drastically different life than the one you've known for many years. As we get older, we all think about doing different things, living in different places, and enjoying a life that doesn't have the everyday demands that we face every day. The following three professionals all had drastically different jobs, did them well, and certainly have earned the right to their next adventure. Karen Cooney is a paraprofessional who is treasured by the teachers and the students who are with her every day. Her kindness and experience are matched only by her dedication to the students and staff she has helped in so many ways over the years. Lori Driven has opened the door to the wonderful world of music for countless students over the years. For those students who stayed with their lessons beyond the first days of hot cross buns, she has developed them into young musicians who will have the skills and the love for music, and most importantly, the appreciation for the joy and power of music for the rest of their lives. Linda Rakowitz has worked with so many students and teachers over the years as a special education teacher. I have watched the dedication that she has not only for her students, but for her fellow professionals, also as an officer for the RTEA. It was in this role that I was taught the importance of keeping her very happy and respecting her insight. To all three of you, congratulations. You will all be missed very much. Please look back at your careers with pride and satisfaction. May the road ahead be wonderful and exciting. You can all come up. And now Dr. Kristen Higgins for Three Bridges School.
So the Three Bridges presentation today is very heavy preschool. And I am very proud, I know Stacey Beagle is very proud. We have an exemplary program. I would say it's the best in the state because of our people who work with us. So this really is a great night for preschool, and I'm very excited. So I'm going to start with our Governor Educator of the Year, Marissa Docho. She is the 2015-16 Governor Educator of the Year. Okay, no, you think I have the wrong year, right? I don't. This is the second time she's won it. She's getting quite a cache of clocks from the county. So congratulations. So she's very deserving of this honor for the second time. So Mrs. Docho teaches in the Three Bridges Extended Day Preschool Program. She works with our very youngest children who need a tremendous amount of support, care, and compassion. She is, for sure, the person to do it. She leads a team of paraprofessionals and therapists who create and implement plans to help our students make the most progress. Mrs. Docho is a tremendous team and faculty member. She is a leader within the building and gives her support and guidance to all. She serves as a resource for all teachers and parents as they put their heads together to collaborate about helping all children succeed. Mrs. Docho is truly dedicated to her students and to Reddington. She is a teacher of teachers and principals. I thank her family, Tom, Antonio, and Annalisa, for sharing her with us. You are truly blessed to have such a wonderful person in your life, and I know how blessed we are to have Mrs. Docho. So come on up, Mrs. Docho. Number 2, preschool again at Three Bridges School. I am honored to present Courtney D'Onofrio with the Educational Service Professional of the Year for TBS. She is one of our speech therapists. Mrs. D'Onofrio works with our most vulnerable students in the preschool program. Her students rely on her to learn the basic life skills of communication. Her teachings are setting the foundation for them for their lives. Mrs. D'Onofrio gives our parents the gift of being able to hear their children's voices and have them initiate conversations. Mrs. D'Onofrio is highly respectful of all. She shows great kindness, patience, passion, and skill as she works closely with the children, our staff, and the children's parents. She is certain to loop in parents to ensure the skills learned at school have carried over into the home. She is a strong school community member. She is the chairperson of our Sunshine Committee, volunteers to organize Paraprofessional Week, and helps the school celebrate Autism Acceptance Month. Mrs. D'Onofrio is a true asset to our school and district, and I congratulate her on this well-deserved honor and on her soon-to-be baby. She and her husband Michael are expecting their first child in June, and I wish them all the best. And I said this was a preschool evening. We are now losing a preschool member, which is really good news for her because she's retiring, but very bad news for us because she's retiring. And she's really a big part of our preschool program. So I'd like to wish Jay Lamoth all the best as she is quickly approaching her retirement from Reddington Township Schools, where she has served as a paraprofessional for 21 years. I have known her as a para in our extended day preschool program, and her position is one of the most rigorous and rewarding of all of public education anywhere. Her role, where she works with 3, 4, and 5-year-old special education students as a one-on-one aide, and she has displayed great kindness, compassion, consistency, and skill as she implements very specific plans that require precise action. She is an amazing team member who we can all count on to step up and assist the children and adults as needed. I know that I will especially miss the chocolate treat she leaves on my desk for each holiday. Now, she never leaves a note, but I know what Jane chocolate when I see it. I know her family is excited to have her more to themselves. Her husband Bob, her son Cody, and her daughter Lindsay are all eager to have her full attention. However, none more than her granddaughter Winnie. She is Jane's pride and joy, and I know Jane relishes every moment with her. In Jane's retirement, I know she will enjoy the beach, the gym, and long walks. I also know that when a couple comes zipping by in their motorcycles, it's most likely going to be Jane and Bob. Jane, be careful and enjoy. You deserve the best retirement ever, and you will be missed at Three Bridges School. I would now like to welcome from White House School, Dr. Ann DeRosa.
Good evening, and thank you for having us. So at White House School, we focus on a different character trait every month, and May happens to be Loyalty Month, which is very appropriate because our Teacher of the Year exemplifies loyalty, Mrs. Christy Pilot. And then when we talk about SEL, I believe the single most important quality for someone to have is loyalty. Because if you're loyal, you have good character and integrity, you have respect, you are trustworthy, you are honest, and you are helpful. So when you are loyal, you are naturally good to your family and friends. When you are loyal, you are a good employee, you are true to your administrators, your district, your colleagues, and your students. That is certainly you, Christy. Christy has been at White House School for 18 years. She is as enthusiastic, cooperative, and helpful today as she was the day she started. She can be counted on for anything that you need. She often mentors new teachers. She helps with our communication needs by managing our Remind app. So she's the one that helps me send out the mass messages whenever we have an event, like wear your red shirt, it's Spirit Day, or we're getting company, Three Bridges is out of power, they're all coming over. She's just there as a great help at White House School. She was nominated by her peers, which I think is the greatest honor of all. In the nomination letters, they describe Christy as warm, caring, dynamic, They referenced her bubbling laughter and her playful personality. But they even spoke about how she connects with children, how she accommodates them, and how she encourages them. And I took a few excerpts from my evaluations of her because I do think she's always there for her students. She is always searching for strategies and tools to position them for success. She supplements the curriculum and differentiates instruction based on individual needs. And I remember more than a decade ago, I remember how enthusiastic you were, Christy, when you came into my office to show me resources that you bought off of teachers, paid teachers. I didn't even know what it was, but you were super excited about it. And I think that you were one of the first to bring it to White House School to spread the word that it was a good site to give resources. At any given moment, you know where your students are academically and what the next step is for them. And when Christy, in preparation for this award, she had to send her philosophy of education to the county. And I took a clip of it. I'd like to read it to you from her philosophy. She writes, "Each child comes to school with unique strengths and challenges. I believe that it is the teacher's responsibility and privilege to embrace each student's journey. I hope that my classroom is joyful, a community of learners that is a haven celebrating everyday growth." Christy, I think you understand what it is to be an amazing administrator, and I'm proud that you're White House School's Governor's Educator of the Year. Congratulations. There's a saying that heroes wear scrubs. That's right, they certainly do. Our Educational Service Professional of the Year is our school nurse, Mrs. Katie Lynch. Congratulations. I almost don't know where to begin because for 2 straight years, on top of all of your other responsibilities from day-to-day nursing issues, you've been our building's voice of COVID protocols. I know even when you're tired, with all the contact tracing, you put a smile on your face and you keep going. In addition to her traditional nursing duties, Mrs. Lynch spends her days answering questions, checking seating charts to see what students have been exposed, counting calendar dates to determine when children can return to school, updating spreadsheets, helping to set up tutors, and contacting parents. When we have a COVID surge, you are on the phone with me at night and on weekends to make sure that White House School remains safe and that our guidelines are consistently followed. When she's not tending to the medical needs or pandemic protocols, Mrs. Lynch places great emphasis on equity and looks for support systems for our most vulnerable students and families. She's helped connect families to charitable medical organizations, started a backpack campaign where students bring food home, makes sure that families have access to needed supplies during the holidays, and she's worked with our school counselor and school psychologist to create a community resource list by calling different agencies to see how we can best access their services. Katie is an experienced registered nurse. She's held positions in schools and in hospitals, and we've grown to rely upon her knowledge and expertise. She's a true asset to our school. And when she was little, she actually attended White House School. So she came back home. Her children go there now. And I often like to boast about Lily and Grace because they are competitive Irish step dancers. And they learned that from mom because Katie and all of her siblings were Irish step dancers in a competitive. Give us a show. She's like, I don't. So I'm thinking you should see White House parades around St. Patrick's Day. Mrs. Lynch is quick-witted. She has an awesome sense of humor, confident, kind, and calm. She too submitted her philosophy of education, and I wanted to read an excerpt from it that epitomizes who she is and how she sees her role with children. She wrote, "When students visit the health office, I remain cognizant that they have a need. It is usually a physical concern, but it can also be emotional. Regardless, I am committed to providing a nurturing place where they can expect a smile and a warm interaction. I think that says it all. Katie, you are a hero. You should be recognized for all that you do. Thank you. And now for my retiree. I met Mrs. Terry Miller years ago. I was the assistant principal at the middle school when we hired her. And so I was trying to think back exactly when we met. So I went back into her personnel file. And there it was July 24th, 2000. That was the day of your interview. And I know that because I found your writing sample that you completed on that day. That was about 22 years ago, and you wrote some amazing things that still ring true today. You described, in the prompt, you described how you create a passion for writing in students. And what you said was, it's all about finding a connection. You wrote, whether it is individually or within a small group, I give students time to view their world. It is necessary to give students opportunities before they write to think, to brainstorm, to wonder, to talk, and to listen. It is when I open students' minds to the enormous volume of wonderful tales that they have at their fingertips that the passion is ignited. Then a few years later, in the same file, I saw that you wrote in self-reflection kind of a similar philosophy about sparking the joy of reading in children. You wrote, when students are interested in a story and care about the characters, they enjoy reading. So, Mrs. Miller, I know you know certainly what it takes to help students at all grade levels spark an interest. I know you started your career in the elementary school, and you spent many years with middle schoolers, and now you're back in elementary school and first grade at White House School. I know that White House School is a little bit different than RMS. I won't say it's better, it's just different. I found out when I arrived there. I'll give you a few. We jump rope at recess, we go down slides, we draw with sidewalk chalk, take brain breaks, dance to go noodle. But most importantly, we nurture little people. And we get them ready for RMS and for life. I think that you have enriched so many lives within or during your career. And I feel honored that over the past few years, we've had the benefit of your skills and your broad perspective. So as you enter retirement and embark on a new adventure, we wish you the best. I hope that you can spend more time with your husband, your daughter, and your son. I know you'll keep cheering on the Yankees and Penn State. And I know you'll continue to embrace your pickleball obsession, like they said earlier. Thank you for closing out your career with me and with White House School. It's been an honor. Thank you. And now it is my great honor to introduce Ms. Marcy Cole.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight I have the honor of recognizing one of our bus drivers, Marty Brawning, who is retiring, and unfortunately she can't be here with us tonight. Marty started driving for Reddington in 1998 as a substitute bus driver. She then started driving students in our preschool program. Margaret loved driving preschoolers. She said, when asked, she said that it's rewarding to be such a big part of their everyday lives. She loved the smiling faces she saw as she pulled up to pick them up in front of their homes. I remember Margaret telling me she made a CD for the kids to listen on the bus of The Lion King, and they would all have sing-alongs on the way to school and way home. And then just like that, 25 years later, and she's leaving us, she's gonna start a new chapter in her life, and here's to Margaret. We wish her all the best in her new endeavors, and maybe she'll come back and visit us, or maybe even sub for us. Thank you very much, Margaret. It's been a great and productive 25 years. Our little family will miss you. Now it is my honor to introduce Mrs. Stacy Beagle.
Good evening, everyone. Not sure how the speech is going to come out, simply because my secretary was not able to prove it. But I'm here to honor Donna Masucci, who's been in Reddington for 17 years. A couple months ago, Donna had come to me in my office and she said, "Stace, I need to talk to you." And I knew what that was going to be. I'm like, "No, never mind. Let's table it for a while and let's think about it and come back and talk to me in a month." Well, unfortunately, she did table it for a month, and unfortunately, I'm here tonight to honor Donna Masucci and her years of service in Reddington. She's been in Reddington for 17 years, always in the People Service Department. She started 7 years as a child study team secretary. She supported our case managers, and she's worked in every school. She started, and I don't know if you remember, but one of the case managers had said, Donna actually worked in the trailers in Three Bridges amongst piles and piles and piles of documents that had to be shredded. But that also showed how Donna just kind of went with the flow. She looks at things full, she has rose-colored glasses, and just made the best of it. And that's what she's done for all of the years she's been here. For the past 10 years, Donna then has been the confidential secretary to Pupil Services Director. I've had the privilege of working with Donna for the past 2 years. Donna, I don't know what I would have done without you these past 2 years. I came into the position during the fun of COVID. And the transition could have been really challenging, but Donna was right there to support me. I cannot tell you how you have enabled me to do the job that I have to do every day. We found out very quickly that the walls, Dr. Hart and I, our offices are right next to each other. One of the things that I value about Donna is her humor. Because my first month there, Mrs. Harris, Dr. Hart's secretary, came in and gently reminded me that the walls are very thin. Donna and I would just have a hoot over everything, and we made every day fun. So I am absolutely going to miss you. Donna is actually leaving and going on a new adventure. She's going to be driving her husband Pat nuts every day. However, Donna is going to have the time now to spend with her grandson George Francis, who's going to be 2. But also Donna's going to be welcoming a new granddaughter in August. I'm sorry that we're not going to be able to share every day. I also have a granddaughter who's just a couple months younger than George, and we kind of share where each of them are. Donna, the team who's here, the team wishes you so much happiness as you leave. We are going to miss you desperately. But you are going to open a new chapter. Have a lot of fun, spend time with your mom, your husband, planning your daughter's wedding, and your grandchildren. Donna, I love you. Thank you for being my friend, my colleague, and making such a difference for our department. Yes, it says district. Okay. Donna, you're not here to help me. Thank you. And now I would have the honor of introducing Mr. Anthony Chimela. And I'm so glad I went before Anthony. Anthony just has beautiful words to share. He just puts things together. Let me put my shoes back on.
Hi, everyone. I have the honor to recognize Mrs. Ann Moore. Where is she? I promise I won't. I don't promise. I don't know. It might happen. My name is Anthony Tulo, and I am the SEL supervisor, which falls under the curriculum department. I have worked closely with Mrs. Moore for a few years, and I would like to take this opportunity to share this amazing person with you. I wrote a letter directly to Anne from the curriculum department, which I would like to read at this time. Hopefully this will give you a small glimpse into the kind of person Anne is and the profound impact she has had on many of us who have had the privilege to work with her. Dearest Anne, on August 21st, 2006, Remington School District got a little bit brighter. That's the day you officially became a district employee. Your journey here in Remington began at Hollenbrook School, where you served as the front office secretary. After a few years, you were given the opportunity to work as a secretary for the child study team. You then spent the remainder of your tenure as the confidential secretary for the curriculum department supervisors. And little did you know what you were setting yourself into, what you're stepping into with us. The curriculum department would like you to know that you have been our anchor and our compass over the years for patiently and seamlessly managing all of our teacher observations, summatives, and individual budgets to keeping us organized so that we meet all of our deadlines. Personally, I truly don't know what I'm going to do without you, because who is going to keep me in line when it comes to explaining anything that has to do with budgeting or purchasing? It happens today. I mean, seriously. Brian, I hope you don't mind that if I call your wife while you're hiking or canoeing down North Carolina to ask her how to pay for programs like the Child Abuse Prevention or SEL books that I would have to order. It might happen. They probably will. And in all seriousness, Stacy, Sarah, Sherry, and myself hold you in the highest regard. We are so grateful for your meticulous organization, your positive attitude, and your amazingly kind heart. We wish you nothing but happiness as you prepare to embark on this next chapter in your journey. We are thrilled that you will be able to dedicate more energy to your beautiful family, to Brian, your daughter Emily, and son Timothy. And this is definitely not goodbye, so instead I will say see you later. But for now, I leave you with this. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be peaceful, and may you always be filled with joy. We love you so much. And now I turn this over to Jen. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Anthony. Just a few closing remarks. First, tonight's evening would not be possible without the dedication and the extraordinary time that the administrators put in saying all of the fun things that they have to say about their Governor's Educator of the Year and the retirees. So thank you, administrators, for being here tonight and for preparing all of those kind words. My secretary, Doreen Harris, is primarily responsible for this entire evening. And most of what I do on a day-to-day basis, I'll be honest. So thank you to the administrators and Doreen. A big round of applause for Tonight is special because we have the opportunity to honor the extraordinary efforts of our staff. Without you, all of you, those who are retiring from the district from anywhere of 30 years of service to 7 years of service, the education that children get in Remington Township on a day-to-day basis would not be possible without all of you. So thank you so much for the time and the dedication you put into the district. And those Governor Educators of the Year, I know we'll see you again next year. Thank you for everything that you've done to highlight those extraordinary efforts and bring out the best in your students. So one more round of applause for all of our honors. And lastly, one quick photo, if I could have the retirees on this side of the room over here, and the Governor's Educators of the Year on this side of the room. We'll take one group photo of each. You are welcome to stay for the duration of the Board of Education meeting afterwards. Some of you might be chuckling at that, but feel free. We are here for the rest of the night if you'd like to join us. Retirees over here, educators of the year on this side of the multi-purpose picture.
Yeah, that's fine. You guys can take it. They'll hear us. Yeah, this might work. Project
Open to the public, limited to action items on the agenda. Not hearing any. I'll try to, everybody please remember to speak loudly. I don't know that I was speaking loudly enough, but for the people online. All right, moving on, correspondence. We had one email from KD regarding seedlings. Board action. Can I get a motion to adopt 1.01 to 1.02, the administrative reports?
So move that. Second, Camille?
Dr. Hart, do you have any comments regarding 1.02, the Reddington Ready Plan?
Sure, I'll provide, because I know the document is a little lengthy, but for the board, I'll give you a couple of highlights of the update for the Reddington Ready Plan. First, in recognition that the plan had not been updated since September, I think the last board meeting was September 10th of this past year. So much has changed based off of the Department of Health recommendations from that point until now. So the highlights are these. Here are a couple of additions, changes, and you'll see things that are struck out, that are being removed, and things that are in red that are being added or revised. So first and foremost, one of the primary changes is the mask wearing executive order expiring or going away as of March 7th. So verbiage in there for masks being optional after March 7th is included in the Reddington Ready Plan, both on the school bus and in school. The COVID reporting grade form I included in there, the actual link of where parents should go if they're reporting a positive COVID case. Both the exclusion criteria of when and if children would be excluded from school, as well as the contact tracing criteria with the test to stay option have been updated. And most of that verbiage comes directly from the Department of Health guidance, that guidance from February 22nd. And finally, the definition based on age group of what it means to be fully vaccinated or quote unquote, I think the Department of Health uses the language up to date with your vaccines has been included as well. Just to ensure consistency and no confusion, not only does it help our school nurses to implement, but it also helps parents to go to one spot and be able to see everything together in one spot. I think the nurses have been doing a fantastic job though when they do get that reporting form of sending out like a form letter of exactly what each child's requirements may be in order to stay in school or return to school. So those are some highlights for you and for the board, just so that you know if you haven't had a chance to read through the entire document. Those are the highlights.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
I have a couple of questions. The policy right now in 6th grade, with them going back to masks, is that the result of this?
No, this was actually revised prior to the letter that went out yesterday, but this is not, we're not changing this to allow the masks to go back on. This was happening anyway, the revision to this. The mask going back is a recommendation from the health department based off of the current close contact that we've had in school and transmission in schools.
And I think just to elaborate that the idea was that there were so many cases, positive cases, that there was no, they had to consider everybody in 6th grade a close contact because of the sheer number. So there was no way in a timely manner to pinpoint, well, maybe that person wasn't, there was just too many. So everybody in 6th grade ended up considered a close contact.
That's right.
Oh,
close
I'd
contact.
assume that was a result of this, just because under the revised policy, if it goes up to a certain color, then the masks come back, right? So
They don't have to come back. It gives us the flexibility to be able to bring them back should we want. It doesn't eliminate a mask requirement ever. It says that if we go to orange or red, the district could consider putting them back on as a mitigation measure, which is exactly what we considered over at the middle school. And part of what Carol is saying is anybody who's a close contact has to wear a mask, stays in school, but has to wear a mask for 10 days. We're considering everybody in 6th grade a close contact. I mean, of the 30 some odd cases at RMS, I would have the exact number, but I would guess to say 28 to 30 of them are in 6th grade. So extrapolate that 9 periods a day, everybody's a close contact.
Okay, so what's happening in 6th grade, that's not under a policy. It's just something unique that the department has addressed. It's just us.
Well,
No,
it's
we're
under
not the only district, no, that's doing that. It's a recommendation from the health department, one of which we have flexibility under a policy to do, and we've done. That's a mitigation measure.
But are we gonna get to vote on that, or how is that? That's just my question.
It's not, no, it's not a voting thing. It's It's because the policy is that if you're a close contact, you can stay in school, you have to wear a mask though, right? And because the 6th grade has been identified as a close contact, everyone has to wear a mask.
All right, we're not making any distinction between vaccinated and unvaccinated like we would in the policy.
No, everybody in 6th grade is wearing a mask.
I want to be clear, though, the only clear distinction between vaccinated and unvaccinated comes into play when we talk about household contact. That's the only time where there's a difference between vaccinated and unvaccinated in terms of exclusion from school.
All right, so the 6th grade, that's just coming from us following a recommendation of the department?
It's a combination of things. One, it's a recommendation from the Department of Health. 2, the policy, or I don't know if I want to use the policy, the other recommendation and the practice that we've been following from the Department of Health is that close contacts have to wear a mask. We've been following that since masks have become optional of March 7th. Given the number of cases over at the middle school, every child in 6th grade is considered a close contact. Therefore, they're all wearing a mask. Those are the levels of decision-making that went into deciding to move toward putting masks back on middle schoolers in 6th grade. Help me answer your question if I'm not.
Well, it's confusing. I guess my problem with the policy, but you're saying with this policy, with these color codes, it's always going to be, it'll be up to us whether to go back to the mask? Forget about the 6th grade situation.
It would be. So let's say the activity report Thursday could have our region dedicated or designated as orange. It would be up to us if we decide to go back to masks at that point. You know, it gives us flexibility. Do we have to do it? No. Could we do it? Yes.
So we're viewing the color, I'm sorry. Now that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
said that, I
no,
want to
please,
just
go
clarify
ahead.
for myself. The colors, you're viewing them as suggestions.
Yes.
With you having the decision-making power to determine whether or not to implement it based on the current situation.
Exactly. And our situation here in Reddington could be very different than it is in another school. So the color doesn't necessarily designate that we will. It just gives us the flexibility to be able to if we wish.
And do we have some insight into when we would have an off-ramp from utilizing color-coded to going back to treating it like any other virus outbreak in the school, RSV, flu, et cetera?
Well, I don't know if there will be a true off-ramp, and I would defer to the Department of Health to help us with that off-ramp. There have always been disease mitigation measures in school. If you had children in schools during H1N1, we had a pandemic plan and we were considering closing schools during H1N1. There was a mandatory, if you had the flu or H1N1, during that time, there was a mandatory 5-day exclusion. So we've always had mitigation measures in school for disease prevention. So there will be kind of an off-ramp, I guess, but maybe a softer landing, like the H1N1 landing, and maybe not using the colors as designation, but I think there'll always be surveillance. There is surveillance for flu right now. There always has been. And their color codes are like blue and green. So there are different ways in which the Department of Health monitors these types of things. Am I hopeful that by the end of the school year or by next year, there'll be a lot more flexibility in terms of how we want to interpret something like this, or how much we lean on the health department to put masks on kids, put them back in cohorts, or do any other mitigation measures, likely by the end of the year or the fall? That would be my guess. But mitigation measures in school with whatever disease are here to stay. They've always been here. Right, Mrs. Beagle? Measles, H1N1, even the flu, when we report cases of the flu to the Department of Health, and they'll help us with mitigation measures in schools as well. So they're here to stay. It's just a matter of whether or not masking, cohorting, and some of these other things become standard mitigation measures in the future. And I don't know if they will be, if that's helpful.
I was going to say, so we never masked before with other mitigation.
And maybe we didn't know better, right? Or maybe, it was not, it was shut down schools. I mean, H1N1 was the consideration was to close school. No masks, no nothing, it was just close school and keep kids away from each other for a while.
But the mask, and like with the sixth graders now, there's no, they take them off during the day, right? Gym,
Sure.
lunch, and it can be a cloth mask, right?
We asked them to bring them in, yeah.
I mean, it's just rhetorical, but there's a belief that that's really going to mitigate. It just seems like the horse is out of the barn with the sixth grade. I'm not sure what wearing a mask, a cloth mask part of the day in one grade. Now, I just have a hard time believing, maybe it doesn't fall under this policy, I just have a hard time believing anyone thinks that that's going to be effective.
We had extraordinarily high cases back in January after winter break. We haven't had that level of high cases now, post spring break. The only thing that's changed, I think I reported to the board 4 cases of within school transmission in, the January, February timeframe. Right now, I would comfortably say that every case in 6th grade is some kind of within school close contact or transmission. So I'm not a scientist and I'm not going to claim to be a public health expert. The only anecdotal evidence I have that this is maybe an appropriate mitigation measure is the fact that over the month of January, we had 200 some odd cases in our schools, and 4 cases or so of in-school transmission. Now we have 60, and more than half of them are tied to some kind of contact of within school transmission. The only difference between then and now is a mask. I think it's, in my opinion, I think this is a recommended Department of Health from the public health experts mitigation measure. Anecdotally, this is a reasonable measure to hopefully truly cut down on the amount of within school transmission. And this is the elephant in the room, right? This is a difficult issue. I don't know what else to say.
And I'll just add, I'll add on, when it was H1N1, if the Department of Health has the right to shut down the school.
They do.
So if we chose to not put masks on 6th grade and the spread continued, they could shut down the school, which could also result in Hollenbrook School getting shut down because they share a bus. So by doing the measures that we have, by additional cleaning and by putting masks on, that's something we can do to try to stop the outbreak. So that's where we're at. And if we do those measures, then hopefully it stops the outbreak and we don't get shut down.
We've got state testing going on. The idea is to keep kids in school while we're doing state testing. Healthy kids are kids in school. Unhealthy kids are kids who are not in school. I prefer healthy kids in school. If we continue to allow what the Department of Health has designated as within school transmission cases in 6th grade at RMS to continue without any mitigation measures, we're talking about more illness, and that's more kids out of school. At the very least, whether it's the flu, whether it's measles, whether it was H1N1, healthy kids are in school, unhealthy kids are not. And with state testing going on, spring activities going on, Mr. Nigro will tell you, Mr. Tumalo, Mrs. Beagle will tell you how many fun things are happening for kids. This is our way of preserving those things for them. Is it perfect? No.
Well, I respect your opinion. I'm not coming at this from like an anti-mask or.
Yeah.
And I've had both my kids vaccinated, which seems to be unusual in this district. I will tell you.
Yeah.
And we complied with all the masking requirements. I'll put one on if someone wants me to. I just feel as though my kids are kind of done with it. Speaking anecdotally.
Oh yeah.
My kids told me today that they started the mass. I guess it was yesterday. A group of 7th or 8th graders went by the 6th graders and said, "Oh, there's the COVID kids." And it's like, I think there should be an off ramp with the masking at some point, instead of having a policy where it's gonna keep creeping back. And look, I think, I think it should be up to the parents. I don't think any kid should be bullied for wearing a mask. I think it should be the kid's right. And 95 will protect the wearer, as far as I know, from it, but.
And
Anyway, that's my.
And I recognize
That's my
that
view.
this is difficult, and I know it is. I have every appreciation of how difficult this is. Recognition that there is no perfect solution. Leading with principle is difficult, but if our principle is kids in school, this is a reasonable measure to keep kids in school and keep them healthy. If that's our principle, if our principle is parents have the right to choose, then tell me, and we can switch our principles, and I believe that parents have the right to choose. I'm not saying that they don't, right? But if that's what we want to switch to, and if that wants to be the guiding principle in decision-making, we can do that. And I know it's difficult. I know it's hard. I was at the middle school today. Students were compliant. They were well-behaved. I mean, there was handling of what you spoke of too, Randy, by the school administration. I had a lengthy conversation with the nurses. It was, that's our goal. If that's our goal as kids in school, then that's where I'm at. If you're not there, I need to know so I can change my compass.
And to that end, if that's, it's on the table for approval, so if, in order to move things along, I think we've had enough discussion. If there's something I'm missing, then please say so, but in order to move the meeting on, if you feel that this needs to be revised for something, then you would vote no to 1.02. Are there any other comments, questions? All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Betterman,
Yes.
Ms. Fiore,
Yes.
Mr. Peach,
No.
Mrs. Wolf.
Yes to 1.01, abstain from 1.02.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Can I go back?
Yes.
No on 1.02, yes on 1.01.
Noted. Mr. Zorn,
Yes.
Dr. Cerciolo,
Yes.
Ms. Zimmer.
Yes. All right, moving on, approval of minutes. Can I get a motion to adopt 2.01 to 2.02?
I move that.
Second, Jessica?
Any questions or comments on the minutes? Not hearing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Betterman,
Yes.
Ms. Fiore,
Yes.
Mr. Peach,
Yes.
Ms. Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Zorn,
Yes.
Dr. Cerciolo,
Yes.
Mrs. Sample.
Yes.
Passes.
Moving on, finance facilities. Can I get a motion to adopt 3.01 to 3.10?
So move that.
Second, Camille. And we have a committee report?
We do. The Finance and Facilities Committee met on Tuesday, May 3rd, and the first item on the agenda was were the health and dental insurance renewals. Brown and Brown presented, they reviewed the healthcare proposal. AmeriHealth quoted a 4% increase in medical benefits for the 22-23 school year. Aetna, Horizon, and SHIF, which stands for School Health Insurance Fund, declined to provide a quote. There will also be a 0% increase in dental benefits for the upcoming year. The next topic was facilities, the facilities department software migration. Don Ray's proposed purchasing software upgrade called Operations Hero for the facilities department. It involves training, but will cost less than the current software, which is outdated. It was agreed to purchase the new software. The next topic were the 22-23 capital projects. The first one being the Hollenbrook School roofing project. The installation was received by the vendor per the architect. The project kickoff meeting will be this month. And there will be a relocation of the business office staff as well as a summer enrichment, ESY. The next project is the Three Bridges School cupola. It was a discussion involving either replacement or repairing it. And the estimate for a new cupola at Three Bridges is approximately $32,000. This price is much less than was anticipated,
and it was decided to move forward with purchasing a new cupola. This price includes the installation using a crane. The third topic under capital projects involved the curriculum office. We're now waiting on the quote, adjustments to occur if it's over budget. And there's lead time on the door. The lead time on the doors and the windows is extensive. The next topic involved Macchio's food service renewal. We currently enjoy a good working relationship with Macchio's, and they are flexible, reasonable, and they provide healthy food. We agreed to renew our contract with them for the 22-23 school year. The next topic was the bus driver incentives. We had a discussion whether or not we should continue the incentives for the bus drivers, including hiring bonus, training, and finder's fee. It was agreed to keep all the incentives at this time. The next topic was the federal EPA Clean Bus Program, $5 billion in grants from 22 to 26. This discussion was regarding us continuing to apply for electric bus grants. If approved, the grant will pay for the bus, but likely not the charging stations. We will move forward with these grant applications. And then we just picked our next meeting date, which will be Wednesday, June 1st at 8:30.
Thank you, Dr. Cerciolo. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes or the agenda items?
I have a question. For the incentives that you want to keep for the bus drivers.
Yes.
Do we have feedback? Is that effective? Is it working for us?
Is it what?
Is it working?
Is it working? My understanding is that there were a couple of finder fees given out, I believe. And also, the discussion involved, having these incentives for 1 year and then getting rid of them the next year, because we're not really where we need to be with getting as many bus drivers as we want. So we thought, keep it another year. Otherwise, it was kind of, it wouldn't have sat well probably with people if you have it 1 year and then take it away. So I believe, I don't have the entire list, but I know that training we thought was always important to continue no matter what. Hiring bonus, we agreed to keep them all actually, because again, they all made sense. I don't know if everyone was applied. And in terms of the cost and benefit, it seemed like the benefits outweighed the cost, and that's why we decided to do that.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Dr. Cerciolo, I had a question, maybe Mr. Bowman can answer also. For the Macchio's contract, maybe it's just standard language, but the reference to the number of free and reduced participants remaining the same level as the previous school year, is that taking into consideration any new students or developments coming into town? I didn't know if that's just standard language or it's an average, what the...
It's actually standard language from the state
Okay.
Department of Agriculture. Yeah, and the recommendation actually, they said moving forward with renewals, you don't need to include everything because the original, we went out to bid last year. We have to include all this in the original bid, but they said moving forward, you could take this out. We chose to leave in the full just so everyone could see the language more upfront.
Can we accommodate all students though, if the number is different from the previous year or not? How does that?
We can, so we participate in the National Food Program. So we are reimbursed by the federal government for free students and reduced students, and they provide commodities. So we actually will get more money if there's more low-income students directly from the federal government, which subsidizes our cafeteria program, which is why we have such a high fund balance in that. If you look at the financials, Fund 60, we have a very high balance there. It's self-funding, whereas school districts that don't participate actually have a negative. So we should be able to provide meals for all the students.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Betterman.
Yes.
Mrs. Fiore.
Yes.
Mr. Peach.
Yes.
Ms. Wolf.
Yes.
Mr. Zwilling. Dr. Cerciolo.
Yes.
Ms. Hamble.
Yes. Moving on to education technology, can I get a motion to adopt 4.01 to 4.05?
So move that.
Second, Camille?
And do we have a committee report? No, okay. Any questions on the agenda items?
Yeah, I had a question. I think I was at this meeting. I don't remember, we're approving textbooks.
I don't know if you were at the Ed Tech meeting, but your question is related to
to,
4.03, textbooks, instructional resources, and publishers
Yes.
to be used to implement the curriculum.
what was on?
Yeah, these are ones that are currently already in district, right? These aren't new textbooks. So if it was a new textbook, then we would have discussed it in committee. At least that was my understanding.
Yeah, all of these textbooks were previously approved by the Board of Education and are remaining for next school year. Same thing with the curriculum documents. The revisions that are happening over the summer will be reflected in the fall of any new textbooks or new curriculum documents.
So some of them are 2022.
The social studies one,
Yeah.
yeah, we previously approved that at our last board meeting. And we discussed that in Ed Tech at the April Ed Tech meeting.
Okay, well, do I abstain? I mean, you're asking me to approve it again.
Well, this is for the curriculum, approving them for the curriculum. Is that,
Yeah, these are standard resolutions. So what we do every spring, what we do is there are a lot of things that we do in the springtime to gear up and get ready for next year. For example, last board meeting, the April 26th board meeting, you saw all of the renewals. What that did is that took all of our current staff that we're keeping for next year and renewed them for next year, right? This board meeting, we're taking all of our textbooks and all of our curriculum documents and taking everything as is right now that's been previously approved by the board, whether it was the last meeting or last year. We're taking all of those textbooks and the curriculum documents and we're rolling them forward and moving them forward and approving them for next year. Next board meeting, we're going to take all of our contract service professionals, our board attorney, we're going to take our special education evaluators, we're going to take all of those services and we're going to move them and roll them forward for next year. So this is a standard resolution that takes all of the current curriculum documents and all of the current textbooks and moves them forward for approval for next year. This is something we do annually. Everything that's on this list has been approved previously by either this Board of Education or a previous Board of Education.
does that make sense? So this isn't for the purchase, this is for using those books and curriculum.
Correct.
I understand, they're approved before by.
They're approved to purchase, this is to approve to use.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm getting it. It's
Um,
just you're asking me to approve a text that I haven't seen and I'll abstain.
And you can always view the text and you can view the curriculum.
No, I
It's
know,
all
I
available.
said this is the first I've even seen it. Thought I was at the meeting, I don't remember.
You were there and we talked about the social studies because the social studies one was new. And we reviewed it and Dr. Brown reviewed the social studies, she shared all of the documents and all of the materials, at least for social studies, because that was the newest one. All of these have been previously approved and reviewed in committee. It may not have been last month or even last year. It could be, I don't know, some of the standards and some of the textbooks could have publication dates of like 2010, for example.
I thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Better?
Yes.
Mrs. Jory?
Yes.
Mr. Beach?
Yes, except I abstain on 403.
4.03.
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw? Yes. Dr. Susiella?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes. All right, moving on to personnel. Can I get a motion to adopt 5.01 to 5.12?
So move Beth.
Second, Jennifer?
And I know that there's a committee report, but our committee chair is not here. Can someone read the minutes?
I think it's uploaded, but I'm not sure.
What's that?
I think it's uploaded.
Yeah, she had it. Sorry, I would have printed it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's on here.
Do you want me
You
to
have-
review that?
Yeah.
Okay, the Personnel Committee met on May 5th. The topics discussed was staffing for next year, enrollment in housing developments, Readington Ready Plan revisions, business administrator contracts, personnel matters, And they scheduled the next meeting for Thursday, June 2nd, 8:45.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes or the agenda items? Not hearing any, can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Betterman,
Yes.
Ms. Fiore,
Yes.
Mr. Beach,
Yes.
Ms. Wool,
Yes.
Mr. Swirling,
Yes.
Dr. Sosiello,
Yes.
Ms. Zampa.
Yes. Moving on to communication, can I get a motion to adopt 6.01?
So move that.
Second, Neil? All right, and we have a committee report?
We do. Do I have to talk really, really loud?
Yes, please.
Sorry. Okay, so we talked about talking about the public relations policy. Does that
Well
capture
said.
what we're still doing our research. Some attachments were given to the committee to review, and we will actually talk about it at the June meeting. So that's our plan. We have 3 policies that are included here for first reading by the board. Policy 1648.15, record keeping for healthcare settings in school buildings related to COVID-19. Policy 2417 for student intervention and referral services, and policy 8420 for emergency and crisis situations. These are all updates to existing policies. We also talked about the Readington Ready Plan update and gave Dr. Hart some comments on those that were incorporated. And then upcoming press releases based on our communication plan. In May, we're going to do mental health and social emotional learning. Green initiatives was this past month, right, Eric? That already came out, the Green Committee one came out, the Green Initiatives one was already out. In June, we have several coming. It looks like final budget approval, Governor's Educators of the Year that we celebrated tonight, and 8th grade graduates announcement will be included. And then our next meeting will be June 2nd at 4 o'clock.
Thank you. Mrs. Betterman, are there any questions or comments related to policy and communication?
I just had a question on the crisis policy. With the security drills, so we don't tell the students beforehand that it's a drill?
Not necessarily. The exceptions are when the building principal identifies populations of students that may need because of a mental health issue or a disability or something like that, awareness ahead of time.
Okay.
Otherwise, we practice them cold.
And that's what the statute, it's just, the policy just follows the statute. Right?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the change to the statute was that you have to notify parents when there is any kind of drill. So we're getting emails now that say, Hollenberg School conducted a fire drill today, right? So I think that was the change to the
That
statute.
was the primary change to the statute. And we tell students too, when we make the announcement, there's this particular way we make the announcement to end the drill, but we also ensure that when we go on there, we say there is no danger, everything's over. But this was just a drill.
Just been hearing anecdotally, they're somewhat traumatic, those drills. The kids not knowing it's a drill. I actually looked up the statute, I couldn't tell, it looked like it was worded so that you don't tell the children, but I couldn't tell whether that was mandated or not. I don't know.
We generally don't. I mean, the county office and the state have even come in without me knowing to do a drill. And in past years, they've done things like unannounced walk into a building and told the principal to call a drill so that they could assess our compliance and protocols as well. But yeah, I would say if you're hearing anecdotes, have that parent or those concerned individuals reach out to the building principal to make sure that we alleviate any of the potential harmful impact, having a counselor or teacher talk to children afterwards, if need be.
Yeah, it's like a new, different thing. I mean, we all grew up with fire drills, and a fire drill, you can tell there wasn't a fire. But this is like, they think there's a school shooter.
I don't know. I would say that lockdown drills in some way, shape, or form have existed for the better part of 20 years. When I was a teacher, we did them. It's going back the ways. So that part's not new. The lockdown drills are not new. I think what is new and the troubling part that's new about it is the fact that we've had, I think the lockdown drills started after Columbine. We're talking 1999. Since then, any number of active shooters that we can identify, right? Most recently, Parkland, Sandy Hook, Connecticut, and a number of others that have us continually refine how we practice for these type of crisis situations. So they've been around for a while.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But I do agree, if there's a situation where, children are uncomfortable, then the building principal or the teacher should be made aware.
Mhm.
Because maybe that student should have some time with the teacher or the guidance counselor to make sure that they're comfortable with understanding what the drill is.
And certainly direct anybody to me or the building principal. In fact, that would be a good way to handle it, because there may be things that we don't know. If kids are going home and saying something to parents, it'd be helpful for us to know. But we let kids know with our announcement, and then we let parents know with the Genesis blast that goes out as well.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that Jody put me a little off guard. That the press release actually for the green initiatives got a very prominent placement in the Remington News. I got it just
I noticed
a couple days ago. It's on the front page again. It's Earth Day every day. And I'd just like to say that the authorship order here should be Ms. Freeman and myself. She did the primary work. Like your academic integrity requires.
You are correct. Yeah. She did it. Both of you did a really nice job. She took what you had and she wove it magnificently.
Tremendously, and I recognize the fact that therefore she deserves primary.
Thank you, Mrs. Freeman. Any other questions or comments? Not hearing any, can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Betterman.
Yes.
Mrs. Fiore.
Yes.
Mr. Beach.
Yes.
Ms. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Jerome.
Yes.
Dr. Sosiello.
Yes.
Ms. Hamel.
Yes.
Passes.
All right, any unfinished business from the board? All right, not hearing any new business. We have the Green Committee meeting minutes.
Yes. So there was a meeting on May 4th. There was a White House. The first subject was an update from White House by Dr. DeRosa. The plastic ban, the disposable bag ban came into effect on May 4th. Dr. DeRosa noted that the school had 200 reusable bags printed with the motto, "White House School Keeps It Green," and they're offering those bags, reusable shopping bags, one for $6 or two for $10. The sensory garden that they have out there is a Girl Scout Silver Award project by Caitlin Paul and Brianna Goodyear. And there was a discussion of all the details of the improvements to the garden for that project. A number of areas that could be improved. Ms. Freeman, the Green Coordinator, then discussed the habitat behind Hollenbrook is also a Girl Scout Silver Award project by Ava Graziano and Kira Wyckoff. They discussed all the actions that they will be undertaking to complete the National Wildlife Federation certification process, such as the water, shelter, birdhouses, etc. And they're also looking to create a learning center right by the front gate of that habitat. There was a discussion by the representative of the Environmental Commission regarding the Salem Oak, Salem Oak, for those who don't know, was formerly the largest, oldest. It's unfortunately now deceased. Somewhere about 550, 600-year-old oak. The seedlings from that tree are available. There was discussion about planting one of its progeny here at one of the schools, I forget which, and there's going to be a planting ceremony for that tree. There's discussion about the trout release, the school of, the trout in the classroom. 85 of them are being raised, and they're going to be released at a stream in Clinton. Videos and pictures were taken. We have, the district has advanced to the finals in NJSBA steam tank competition, so we will root on our team and hopefully we will win. There is regarding climate change education, there's a phenological garden and absorb citizen science at the middle school. We're going to track changes through changes in plant growth, climate change through changes in plant growth. They're going to integrate that into the science and math classes. There was a discussion of the Echo Ambassador Read Alouds. All schools, for instance, 15 to 20 middle school students are going to go to Three Bridges and read to their students about celebrating Arbor Day, so students teaching students. There was a discussion about sustainability dashboard and cafeteria waste audit at the Reading Middle School. They discussed the waste audit and that they're also going to be partnering with an interested community member, Christina Albert. There was a professional development opportunity by the district for TCNJ, Environmental Sustainability Education Graduate Certificate, and that was discussed by Ms. Freeman and also one of the teachers, first name, Gargi Adhikari. There was a discussion about TDS detention base in the Biosoil project. There was also set protocol here. Dave Livingston, who was the representative who talked about it, emailed me some very late edits. Can I read those? They're not. What's protocol for something that was not in the minutes? Should I not read those?
That would be protocol. I don't think that it's a public meeting, the Green Committee meeting, so I think that it's probably fine to do it.
Okay, so I submitted these for their editing. He sent me these edits an hour ago. The board accepted with thanks to all donors the Biosoil project fund at its March meeting. There was no cost to the board because the $20,000 in funds have been secured for various donations and grants. Rutgers Cooperative Extension Watershed Team is working to complete the engineering plan by June. Mr. Livingston reviewed the proposed timeline. Representatives from the Biosoil community, Mr. Bohm, Dr. Higgins, Don Race, and David Livingston will represent, I guess, past tense, represented the Three Bridges schools and at the end of New Jersey Sustainable Luncheon, May 9th at the college at TCNJ to accept a $10,000 grant for the Biosoil project. I spoke with Kristen as she left. I didn't get a chance to discuss it, but she said she was there. Investors Bank has not yet approved the committee's application for $5,000 fund. There's a possibility that they may not fund it, but we have donations that may have been estimated. Sustainable Jersey applications from the all applications have been submitted. Each school will at least get bronze level certification, depending upon final points approval as a possibility. So, there is, my printer cut off something. There was a discussion about there are environmental books that have been printed too close to the margin. Environmental themed books which have been delivered to each of the classrooms, age appropriate, as part of the curriculum. This was the last official meeting of the 2021 school year, the 2021-2022 school year. There will be a meeting held this summer amongst among the committee, board, and the district administrators to discuss priorities for next year.
Thank you.
And that was good that you mentioned that, Eric, because that NJEA grant was not public until yesterday. So I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yes, we've been holding off. Kristen and worked very, very hard to get.
Yeah.
We've been holding off. It's good news.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to. There will be a formal announcement.
Yes, we have the press release. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's
Thank
great.
you. Are there any comments, questions?
I'll just comment that Mr. Livingston actually gave a speech to that organization when we were awarded it. So it was very nice as a former board president that he was representing the district after he's no longer involved in the board. And it was very well received at ECNJ.
That's great news. Thank you. All right. Next item is board training with Judith Wilson. So we were talking about possibly doing a board training like we did last summer. So we have some feedback from new board members who went through it last year. So I'll digress.
Yeah, the feedback I had really, and I just have to say that I love Judith Wilson because I was part of the strategic planning session with her. So I really respect and I think she does great work. My feeling as a new board member last year was that I didn't feel it was very helpful to me. I felt like the New Jersey school boards training that they provide and going on and looking at their tape or whatever their webinar session that they had taped was more helpful to me as a new board member. So I would be more inclined to, stay that route unless there was something specific that we wanted Judith to really target and have the whole group be involved, because last summer it was really just the new board members and the veteran board members didn't attend. So that's just my feedback on that.
And was there any other, aside from the Governance One training, was there any other training that you felt was really helpful for you as a new board member?
I took notes, but I have to go back and see because I thought there were a lot that were really, really well done. So I don't have that off the top of my head, but I can go back and look, and I'd be very happy to share if I find ones that I can just send on. I think it would be helpful.
And the other comment so Beth and I had a conversation earlier today. The other comment that we had was that not all of our new board members have gone through the Governance One training. So maybe we revisit this after the June and see if the new board members feel comfortable with their training or if they want more then.
Yeah.
And I think it was June 8th was the training. So maybe, I think it would be done by June 8th. So maybe we'll check on that and maybe we'll have it as unfinished business for next month. Okay, so sound fair?
Yeah, sounds fair. I'm open to anything. I think that what's nice about having Judith Wilson come is the fact that she can tailor it to our needs. So if there's something that's lacking in the school board's training, we can have her come in. And she has a relationship with us. She knows the district. She's done work for us in the past, like strategic planning and board training. Last year, we had anticipated that the board training would be in person, and then it ended up being virtual, and we thought it was going to be the full board, and then it ended up kind of turning into a new board member committee meeting because of conflicts. And, summertime, everybody's schedules get a little hairy. So I think that she has a lot to offer, and there's some power to how she presents and workshops with the board. And I don't think that we used her for her full capacity last year because it was virtual. And that's where this proposal and just our brief discussion of let's put it on an agenda and see if the board members, would like it. And for new board members, certainly, but for veteran board members as well. And truthfully, our veteran board members, and Carol, you and Tom two of them are not as long-standing and Eric.
Eric is long-standing.
Yeah, Eric's the board of a year ago was 10 years, 11 years, 8 years as board members, just a refresher for everybody.
Right.
I defer to the board. This is for you. It's an opportunity for you. I think that she has a lot to offer. I think she's got power in how she presents, and I think that would have been much more powerful in person. So if we want that opportunity, then certainly, summer might be an opportunity for that.
Camille, you were new last year.
Yeah, I was new, and I agree with Beth. I thought the online training was excellent, actually. I thought I got a lot out of that, but I felt the same way. I thought she has a lot to offer. There's no doubt about it. But it was difficult being virtual.
Yeah.
So I would be open to in-person training. Absolutely. I think it'd be worthwhile for everybody.
We can come back to it in June, and I have the dates in July and August are earmarked. She's just saving them for us if we want them, and we can always push it to the fall if we want as well. So.
Okay, so we'll revisit next month.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sounds good. Is there any other new business from the board? All right, we are now open to the public for items on or off the agenda. considering there's no one here.
Their comments on.
There's, okay, so. Do we have any comments from members on? This is really hard for me to see from
I
back
know,
here,
yeah.
so, okay, so Justina Ryan has a hand raised. Do we want to start with people that want to speak and then read comments? Okay. So Justina, make sure you announce yourself so we can make sure that we can hear you okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Kevin Ryan. I'm on Justina's computer, but I do have a question about the masks going back to masks in 6th grade. Basically, what I say was, it seems like we're like singularly focused on COVID as being a risk, but in actuality, do you think there's other risks out there, in particular, like mental health? Maybe that's the Dr. Hart or.
Well, we do not respond to public comment until the end if we choose.
Okay.
So if you want to make your comment.
Sure. Okay. So just quick research. If you go to on the CDC website, there's 73 million children in the U.S. 795 died of COVID. That's 0.0000001%. That's 6 zeros, right? So it's pretty low risk. But how many kids like 0 to 18 try to commit, suicide or have like depression? It's a significant number. It's actually the second leading cause of death in children is, mental health and suicide. So I guess that's my question or statement. Why don't you consider more than just, tunnel vision on COVID? It's more than just COVID. Thank you.
Mr. Ryan.
Say it again.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you.
To prevent feedback, IT has to mute when
Okay.
virtual.
So
people
should I
speak.
just point when I?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you. Sorry, we're in a new room, so it's a little bit of technical difficulty. Is there anyone else who has a comment? And I'm sorry, the screen is also behind me, so I'm struggling a little bit. Okay, we're going to read the public comment. Oh. Margaret Mealy?
Okay, actually Karen Mealy is my daughter. I guess my question is, what do you see the benefit is to having these masking restrictions and contact tracing? What are the outcomes that you've seen with kids that require you to continue to contact trace and require masks? Because as far as I can tell, most of the kids, it's an illness as any other childhood illness. So what is the motivation to continue these practices?
Thank you, Mrs. Mealy. All right, I think if we can read the comments.
I can move the screen. Our first comment is from Rich Albanese, and he said, how about keep kids home when they are sick, otherwise keeps kids in school and parents have a choice. Imagine that. Then we have Justina Ryan, who commented, where is the revised Road Forward Ready Plan document? And next we have Scott Barton, who says, do the new textbooks include the new required topics on sex ed that were passed in 2020? And then we just have some agreeing comments. Rich Albanese said, I couldn't agree more with Mr. Ryan, and Scott Barton agreed as well.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the public?
Yes, Catherine Parcells just wrote in and said, please advise how and when we will be learning more about the new sex ed and health curriculums. I hope it will be before the fall.
Thank you. I think that's all of the public comment.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to now close public comment. Dr. Hart, do you want to take a minute to address?
You want me to? Yeah. And I apologize if I missed something, so make sure that I answer, and I may go backwards. In regard to the new health and PE standards, the current textbooks that were adopted tonight and curriculum documents adopted tonight reflects the old 2014 health and PE standards and our current curriculum, not the newly revised health and PE standards. The health and PE standards are due to be revised over the summer. We use our summer for curriculum writing, and new materials, if any, adopted by the board in the fall. We spoke last time at the last board meeting about doing a parent night regarding the health and PE standards. Ms. Pouch, our supervisor for math, science, technology, health and PE, and a lot of other areas, has been coordinating with a consultant who's been helping us work on the curriculum or preparing to work on the curriculum, as well as can do parent information sessions alongside school administration. We even talked at the last board meeting of potentially pushing the adoption back to October so that we can do a end of September, beginning of October parent information session, kind of get through the busyness of the opening of schools and back to school nights and everything like that. Easy to do because there are so many standards that are not changing. Like nutrition, for example, can be something that we handle at the beginning of the school year, or a number of other standards. The Readington Ready revised plan is on the website as a draft document under the board documents, under the agenda. As far as, I guess, my response to the masking for 6th grade, I think that I would agree with Mr. Albanese and say that this is an effort to keep kids in school rather than having students spread illness around the school and students stay home. I agree wholeheartedly. Parents, if your children are sick, keep them home. That's the best way to ensure that we don't have disease spread throughout schools or any of our schools. The benefit of the masks is that it's a mitigation measure that could slow or stop the in-school transmission that we're seeing, particularly in the 6th grade at RMS right now. We are very aware of student mental health needs. We have layers of mental health supports, including our medical center, 100 behavioral health counselor at the middle school for any student that requires any intervention in terms of mental health. I think that there's always a cost-benefit analysis here. When it comes to mental health of students, I again will go back to the principle of keeping kids in school. If masks help us do that, I think that's good for mental health. Students back at home, learning virtually, I think is troublesome when it comes to student mental health. And I would just add that as an anecdote. I think that's everything. Unless did I miss something? Somebody tell me if I did.
That was everything I had too. Thank you, Dr. Hart.
You're very welcome.
Okay, can I get a motion to move to executive session, to adjourn to executive session in accordance with the Sunshine Law to discuss HIB and the superintendent's evaluation for approximately 45 minutes at which time the board expects to return to public session where action shall not be taken. The matters discussed will be made public if and when circumstances requiring confidentiality no longer exist. However, it is not presently known when such circumstances will exist. Can I get the
So
motion?
moved, Beth?
Second, Camille?
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Betterman.
Yes.
Mrs. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Beach.
Yes.
Ms. Wolf.
Yes.
Mr. Swirling.
Yes.
Dr. Zerciello.
Yes.
Mrs. Sample.
Yes.
We have, they're turning the lights off.
Wow.
They,
That was timing.
that was perfect timing. Please gather all of your items to bring with you. We have set aside a classroom here in Hollenbrook for us to go to for executive session because we don't exactly have privacy in this room. So we can talk about HIB. Bring your computer with you. Everything else you can leave